to spread the word to friends, family, and the universe. 24 hours of music and talk. Radio without limits. That's why people keep coming back for more. That's ubnradio.com.
Woohoo! Ladies and gentlemen, it is raining in Los Angeles. What? There is water coming from the sky. It is a miracle. So here we are on a fabulous day. Tech trends impacting your business. Lori Schwartz here, your local tech cat, bringing you another hour of tech trend talk. And I have with us today the fabulous Eric Thompson, who I'm calling the Branded Content Fellow. And that's because Eric is the founder and lead consultant at B2A Advisors, where he works with partners and clients focused on everything from product and platform development in the media and entertainment space to original programming to distribution. Seriously, there's not much this guy doesn't do, but he's really someone that came from many years of working at Intel. And I met him when he was at Xbox. And so he's really been one of those, futurists who's looking at how brands navigate all these new platforms and entertainment. And so, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, the fabulous Eric Thompson. Let's have a real Los Angeles applause. Ladies, calm down. Everybody calm down. There's a lot of underwear being thrown again. Whenever we have, smart, attractive men, there's always underwear being thrown. I don't know what it's about. How are you doing today, Eric?
I am well, Lori. Thank you for that rousing introduction. That's right up there with some of the best intros I've ever received. So thanks for that.
Well, your family called me and they told me what to say.
Yeah, they knew I needed it. So thank you.
Exactly. Where are you calling us from today?
I'm just outside Seattle, Washington, in lovely sunny Kirkland. I'm staring out my window here and looking at the blue sky, which is gorgeous. I think I brought it up with me from LA.
Oh, that's fantastic. Well, Eric and I just returned from a conference this last couple of days in Palos Verdes, where we were at this Terranea resort, which was insanely beautiful and insanely expensive. But we were at a conference where Eric presented a branded entertainment case study. Some work he's doing with Microsoft. So I thought, and it really interesting blending a brand with content right now and lots of different ways to do it. So I thought, Eric, maybe you could tell us a little bit about what you're doing at B2A and just how you're navigating this crazy, wacky space.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of an interesting time, and you know as well as anyone just how crazy it is in the world of branded video content specifically. Where there's so many brands out there that are struggling to articulate not just their brand value, but really how the vision of their brand really resonates and connects with audiences and audience aspiration. And there's really, there really aren't that many tools out there that do it better than video in terms of really compressing messages, really concentrating messages and themes and images and codifying it in a way that audiences can really wrap their heads around, because we're just sort of instinctually and intuitively attuned.
I love that. I love that word, codifying, by the way. I think we need a sound effect.
Codify.
Yeah.
Sorry, Eric.
I mean, we all sort of get video. Most of us were raised watching television, for better or for worse, and we kind of get the medium. I was with someone over the last week who said that video does, like 5x more heavy lifting in terms of messaging than just a standard presentation or talking or audio. So really, being able to bring audio and video and then augment that with technology enablement, whether that's interactive, whether that's through social extensions, whether that's through other forms of audience engagement. I mean, that's really where brands want to be playing. They're all experimenting. They all have, ever increasing branding budgets that are really aligned to trying to excavate and figure out how to do that work, that heavy lifting. And in my world, at B2A, and I've been really fortunate to be involved with some really great people and some great products over the course of my career. And I'm just sort of taking all of those experiences and all those relationships and kind of putting them to work in the form of this branded content, conversation. So
let me ask you a couple of questions. But every time that you say codify today, you're going to hear this. That's sort of like the duck falling down in Groucho Marx. But
that's awesome.
Because when I met you, you were at Xbox and you were really championing branded content there. So at B2A Advisors, you're working with a lot of different brands and companies, right? So you're kind of consulting to a few different varieties of folks. What's the difference between, say, branded entertainment and then just putting a bumper in front of a video on YouTube? I mean, is that integration the real difference here, or what is your definition of branded entertainment right now?
Yeah, I suppose in the example you just gave, which is something that happens, you see it, it's not really a thoughtfully integrated, brand and content conversation. It's, putting a logo or putting a bumper or being associated via proximity to something cool is nice. And there are lots of brands that like that proximity, and there's cachet too, if it's the right kind of stuff, like the Super Bowl. There's good things that you can be associated with that I think that can lift your brand. But in terms of the storytelling component, which is really what I think the branded piece is, there's some showing involved. So it's not just not telling me to consider your product. It's not just telling me that you're cool because you're associated with something cool. It's really showing me how your brand or how your product or your service or your value prop really translates into something that aligns with my core values as a consumer, and wants me to be part of that experience and helps me think expansively and aspirationally about being a part of that. So it's really the story. So to
codify what you just said, this is really about taking a brand and its attributes and using video content to communicate that in an engaging way. And one of the things that we know right now is over the last 2 weeks, there's been the New Fronts in New York. Yes. We're in May now, and you've had all these digital platforms like Hulu and Yahoo and AOL. And now I think 13 to 14 new companies, more than last year, have gone to New York to present their wares to the advertisers. And these are all digital platforms who are crafting original shows and creating advertiser opportunities. And some of the advertiser opportunities are just sponsoring the content literally by having pre-rolls, post-rolls, or surrounding it. But some of them are what you're talking about, which is sitting down with the brand at the table with the content creators and creating something together. And I know you're doing a lot of work with a fabulous company in Seattle called Mighty Media Studios. Can you tell us about what you're doing there? Because I think that's really fascinating.
Yeah, sure. Well, I mean, Mighty's a really interesting example of a company that gets it, at least as far as corporate storytelling is concerned. And they've been fortunate to have been partners now with Microsoft in some form or another for the last 10 years. And so they really understand Microsoft DNA, and they also understand the way and the role that technology plays in Microsoft storytelling. And I think the example, the case study that we shared down at the iMedia conference earlier in the week really codifies that.
Nice one.
The Modern Workplace is a program that Office 365 commissioned that is really designed to do everything except talk about Office 365. It's really all about trying to take business storytelling, innovators, thought leaders, people who are re-envisioning the workplace, hot topics like cybersecurity and privacy, issues like technology enabling content and communication, networking all around the world, and really taking those topics and themes and really digging through them and finding ways to expand the conversation. And what they've done is they've really helped Microsoft via this 365 component, but also through a whole range of work that they do with Microsoft. They've really helped Microsoft for the last 18 months reposition itself both internally and externally in that conversation, where before it used to be about Windows and our platforms and our devices and our service, and everything was this closed ecosystem conversation, and that was really what Microsoft was known for in a lot of circles. I think now you see this openness, this expansiveness, the sense of and particularly Office 365 really becoming a platform that lives across devices. It's really about services in the cloud and devices. And since their new CTO, Satya Nadella, took over, I think the conversation, the tone, the effectiveness with which they've reached out to developer communities, really excited developers, I see all that starting to really change. And what Mighty's been able to do is sort of capture that lightning in a bottle and translate that into products, video product, that does the work of telling that story without having to tell the story. It shows
smart.
it, right?
Yeah, I love what I love about that. Well, there's two things I love about that. One is that we're all consumers, even when we're in business mode. And so as consumers, we love consuming video. And we all know that all these advertisers are now moving like 63 or 73% of their budgets now to digital to create original video or some kind of video, because video works, right? So I love that Microsoft is understanding that they're not this like cold-hearted company up in Redmond that for many years that was kind of the brand, you know, it was enterprise, it was for the tech guys. But by using video, they're reaching out in a consumer-like way to a business audience, which I think is so smart. And then Mighty Media Studios, which is so interesting, is agencies can't really do content at the same level that, say, Hollywood can do content, right? And Hollywood doesn't do brand so well. So now you have this new sort of boutique mixture kind of company like Mighty Media, which is combining both brand savvy and that agency model with production savvy and great storytelling, right?
You got it. That is absolutely the intersection, and
which
and
is
Mighty,
a necessity. I can say that word. If I could say codify, then I can say then I can say necessity as well.
and we love it, and we love it when you do. That's awesome.
What about what they're doing with Skype? Because Microsoft bought Skype, and they're doing some really cool things with the Skype storytelling too, right?
Yeah, Microsoft's been really cool in that, you know, Skype is obviously the world's largest telecommunications platform. I think they have like 600 or 700 million Skype users around the world, like 300 million, 400 million active monthly. And so Skype's, you know, obviously super relevant. The thing is that they envision Skype as being more than just a telephony solution. They see Skype as being a potential broadcast opportunity, and that is, you know, taking conversations like this, for example, which are obviously one-to-one, but could live in the context of several one-to-one conversations, or 12-to-1, or 100-to-1 conversations. You know, Jimmy Kimmel's done that recently on his show. If you see The Wall of America, they're using a different technology, but you know, you have 10, 12 people, Faces of America, talking to a host of the show, and they're participating, and they're part of that. They're part of that content creation moment. And it's something that'll never exist quite like that moment in time again. So it brings a real uniqueness to broadcast. And then of course you can capture that. You can have it as VOD. You can stream it. You can chop it up and redistribute it and use it as promotional content. So there's lots of, to me, the extensibility and the way that the inherent mobility of that experience that Skype conveys, as well as like the real-time interaction, I think is a really unique tool that could be super useful for certain kinds of applications for video.
Well, I saw one of the best things I saw recently, and I think it's been around for a while, and maybe you know the name of it. It's a Skype story. It's about these two young girls who both only had half an arm on one side, and they found each other through Skype. And then the Skype story talks about how they found each other, how they met each other through Skype and talked for years and years, and then finally they got to meet, and one was in Australia and one was in the US, and it was like you're sitting there like weeping at your desk watching this video, because basically these young girls didn't have anyone else, and so the moms were smart enough to dig into the online community and find another teenage girl who was growing up with a missing arm, and you're just sitting there weeping because it was the truth. They just cut this great video together that showed how Skype embedded into the lifestyles of these two girls, enhanced their life and changed it. And I'm sitting there, I'm telling you, you watch this and you will be changed, and you'll see the power of Skype and the power of great storytelling. I mean, it was a great spot because it leveraged video, it leveraged the platform, and it was just a great story. So that's the kind of stuff we're talking about, right? Not show and tell, but engage and emerge. And codify.
Engage and immerse and codify. Yeah, I love that.
It's exhausting to do all those things at once. Well, let's go into our next section, Eric, because you are a consultant, and I know you're touching a lot of different things and working with a lot of different companies. I'd like to go into our top trend segment next. That's right. And let the horses go. So
It's the production values of the show that I'm really,
yeah, I know.
impressed with.
Well, I learned from you to bring the production quality up.
Touche.
Well, you're really out there. You have your hands. I mean, I hung out with Eric for like a couple of days, and I was just amazed at how many different things he had going on and the different people and conversations he was having. It was really fun. And so you've got a lot of different things going on and a lot of pieces of business bubbling up that are all really relevant in today's ecosystem. How do you figure out what's real and what's not real? Like, how do you keep up with everything? Are you reading, watching?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, fun is kind of the operative word. I mean, I really, it's a core value for me, and I like to try to have fun. So I tend to gravitate to things that I like, number one. So I love media, and I love storytelling. I love music. I love technology. So the fact that all of those things are kind of coming together now in this moment, which I really think is kind of a singular moment in time, at least in my experience, in my professional history. I don't know that things have been as quite as frenetic and quite as real time in this moment as they are right now. And so the idea of the world coming back to me or the market coming back to where I like to spend my time is just really fortuitous, I think, more than anything else. So but I should probably just say I'm being strategic. So, but I have fun. So I read things like TechCrunch, for example. TechCrunch is a great place to keep up to speed on companies that are making noise and investors that are paying attention. Ars Technica is a great tech blog. I read that every day. I love Fast Company for a little bit more in-depth, kind of incisive reporting. Wired's always fun. Those are kind of fun, almost like business porn kind of reads that I like to read. But I also read.
Oh, he froze. Yeah. Eric froze. I think he's saying that he listens to the Tech Trends podcasts religiously. We're going to dial Eric back up, but as we're doing that, one of the things that I learned with hanging out with Eric is looking at technology platforms through a business lens, right? Mm-hmm. So actually at our iMedia show, he brought up the head of Microsoft Live Action Production, who is producing the show that he just talked about. And we were asking her a lot of questions about, okay, Microsoft's funded this now, so do you have just a great big pile of dough to play with? And she was very honest, and she said, every month we have to prove the value of this show, and we have to show the audience numbers coming to it. And Eric brought up a great point that there's ROI associated with this content. So it's not just creating great video content because we all love it and we all know that the numbers are moving in that direction. Mm-hmm. But with any project that Eric has done, he's always bringing metrics to it and ROI and anything that makes business sense. Okay. So that's the other part of this too, is it's not just doing cool artsy stuff, but there's real business to it. Oh, here he is, Mr. Eric. I was just stalling for time.
I appreciate that.
So you were saying Arts Technia, you were saying Fast Company. What about conferences? What do you like to go to that has really blown your mind away? Because a lot of the folks that listen are trying to figure out how to navigate their careers. Are there any classes you've taken, conferences you've gone to that have really blown you away?
South by Southwest is pretty amazing. That's kind of more of I almost feel like that's almost like a requirement now today to be there and to be kind of abreast of what's going on. It's become as much of a tech culture conference as music and art it has in the past. So I think that's a cool place to play. I think CES has gotten maybe a little long in the tooth in terms of just maybe needs to diversify itself a little bit more. But I think CES is a cool place to come see what's happening and see what products are being announced. And those are kind of the two tentpole events. And then things like iMedia or IAB, for example, for the advertising and media space. DMW is doing a lot of interesting things. If you followed them, they just did a gaming day last Wednesday down in LA, and I talked to some people that spoke there. And that sounds like that was a pretty cool event.
Digital Media Wire, is that?
Yeah, Digital Media Wire. Exactly.
So DMW. Yeah. So they have a like a newsletter, and then they do a lot of events. So you can find them on Digital Media Wire. And then certainly in Los Angeles, there's Digital LA and Digital Hollywood shows up, and all of those are great for networking. I know a lot of people put South by down because it's lost its sort of indie, funky, coolness factor. But the truth is, to your point, I always find it, first of all, everyone I know goes, so it's this fun party for people you haven't seen in a while, and then you just share everything that you're up to, and then people do cool things there, and it's just one of those things where just walking along the street, you see cool stuff. You just you never know what you're going to run into, and that's the neat part. Yeah. I would say my unfavorite part about South by is the humidity and what it does to my hair. But I think that's not a business challenge.
Do you have a picture of your hair from Tuesday or Wednesday?
It doesn't even fit on it doesn't even fit in an HD aspect ratio. So we have to, I think it's 6K.
We've got you in 6K, so you'll be good.
That's right. We shot some footage with Eric in a 6K camera. I thought, oh my God, my pores have not shrunk enough. I'm going to be in trouble. But do you have a business habit now, though, of getting up and reading all the things that you just mentioned? Like, is that a strategic imperative to you that every day you read certain things?
Yeah, and again, it's an outcropping of my need for fun. So I like to read, and I have a Kindle. I use a Kindle, and I have literally all the blogs and all the newspapers and all the journals and all the magazines on my Kindle, and I literally just sit in bed and drink my coffee for about an hour and a half every morning, and before I do anything else, before my feet hit the floor, and it's great.
Again, how old is your child again?
My daughter's 7, so she's usually sitting right next to me watching one of her favorite morning programs.
So are you talking about like 6:30 a.m. you're doing that? Because I like that.
Yeah, 6:30, 7, between 6:30 and 7:30 typically in the morning. That's what I'm up to.
You know what? I'm going to start doing that because my daughter also likes to watch a little morning TV at that time, and I'm usually trying to get her to go back to sleep, but perhaps I should change that. So that's a habit of an effective person, is getting that reading in the beginning so that you can bring that into your meetings and bring that into your conversations with your clients. And so, because you have to, as a consultant, you're talking to Microsoft folks and brands. And so you have to kind of know what's going on before they do, right?
Yeah. Staying abreast of what's going on, staying ahead of the curve. The one thing I've learned this period here in my consulting time here has been how much I really don't know, and you just have to keep working at staying on top of things. But again, if you already got the passion for the content and you're already kind of in that headspace, it's not as hard as it sounds. So
and putting it all together, I think also putting all the pieces together is really important. So in terms of doing keeping all of this information, do you as a consultant do a lot of writing as well? Like, are you publishing constantly? That's one thing we didn't talk about, but I know a lot of, like myself doing this show, or do you do a lot of external publishing?
It's funny, I don't do a lot of writing for external. I have these I'll have one right here, these moleskins
with note taking. Oh, we lost. No, you're back.
Files, right? And I've got a stack of them, like 20 of them from years past. And I literally, everything I do and see and experience is in this book. And I just, I'm constantly updating it and retelling stories through this book. And it becomes kind of almost like a walking around Bible. It's the kind of thing I bring everywhere, and it sort of lives with me.
I love that. And you're up in Seattle because you were at Microsoft for a really long time. So are you, is there a community of Microsofters and ex-Microsofters up there in Seattle? Like, are you all sort of a close-knit family now? I know Mighty Media is a lot of companies that did work for Microsoft, but, Redmond is such a Microsoft world. Is it kind of like that's the town? And that's the world? It is, but it would be unfair to the Seattle metropolitan region, which I, over 9 years have become extremely fond of and actually a big fan of, to say that it's just Microsoft. I mean, one of the things that's kind of astounding about Seattle, I'll do my little Seattle plug for you for a second. It's the fastest growing city in America now. It's the fastest growing city? The fastest growing city in America. There's more direct investment here in tech than it rivals Silicon Valley. It doesn't exceed Silicon Valley. There's a lot of money up here. Wow. There's also on a per capita basis, I think we're second only to the Research Triangle in the number of PhDs per capita. No kidding. And where is that? Because of the Microsoft history? Like, why is that there? What's going on there? Is it pharma? Is it tech? Is it, why is that?
Lost him again.
We lost him again. Just when I was asking a really important, significant question that will impact the rest of our life. Well, look, when you're dealing with technology and signals, and it is raining in Los Angeles, and people will laugh at me.
And doesn't it rain all the time in Seattle?
It does rain all. Maybe he's, maybe the rain. He brought the rain. Here he is.
That's probably, I don't know if that's mine or that's probably my Wi-Fi. I have to apologize for that.
No worries. No worries. Look, if the Time Warners and the Comcasts would stop throttling, we'd be in better. We'd be in better shape. But I was just asking you, like, why has that happened in Seattle? Like, what about Seattle has created that investment hub?
It's interesting. It's a great question because I can't put my finger on it. It's an income tax free state. Washington is, so there's no personal income tax here. So I think that's part of it. And I think the legacy of companies like Microsoft and the tradition of risk taking and innovation and really some of the early Seattle. It's really a pioneer town. That's what I actually kind of love about it. It's almost like a sister city to San Francisco and Portland, and then to the north, Vancouver, in the sense that this is really the gold rush that built this place, and the people that came here were pioneering spirit.
He went out again.
Spirit.
Oh, there you're back.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you.
Fine.
So really a pioneering spirit and an enterprising spirit that I think is really core to the region, and something I just love. It's something I really identify with, and it's a place where I can find no shortage of new things to wrap my head around and be challenged by.
So it's kind of like how parts of Los Angeles are right now with Silicon Beach, or what's happening in Culver City or Playa, where you just have the aggregation of investment and tech, which I think is happening in all the major cities in the U.S., but it's interesting to talk about Seattle. And I was going to say, in terms of Microsoft and this new CEO, have you seen a shift in culture and perspective and the type of people being drawn to Microsoft now because of the new leadership?
I can say I've definitely seen and sensed a shift in culture and in perspective. It feels like Microsoft's no longer the redheaded stepchild in the conversation with other large companies. It's really more, they're almost seen as an underdog, and I get the sense people are rooting for them, and there are people who are attracted to them because of the way they've shifted the conversation. And I think it bodes well for Microsoft's future. I think they are going to attract a lot of they already have a lot of amazing talent. It's really putting that talent to work on the right things, and then continuing to grow this culture of innovation and openness that I think will attract even more great talent.
Yeah, I feel like they still have a PR issue that they're probably slowly going to work on, which Apple has the opposite problem, right? Like too much PR, which can go positive or negative right now. But Microsoft could certainly use an influx of what good is happening there, because I know a few folks that have gone to sort of the technology lab there, and they're doing all sorts of really cool, innovative stuff under closed doors, behind closed doors, under a sheet, but behind closed doors. I don't know, but you know what I mean. Yeah. They're doing really cool things and really edgy things
undercover.
And really undercover. That's it, and things that are going to help the world. But people don't realize that's who Microsoft is. And certainly we all love Xbox. Could we just take a moment to talk a little bit about what you did at Xbox? Because that's when I met you, and you had a really cool job, there. Tell us a little bit about your Xbox experience.
Yeah, I mean, Xbox obviously is a gaming platform kind of built of for and by gamers. And several years ago, they came up with this killer app, which was Xbox Live, which enabled people to get online and play games against each other. So on headsets and all that, you could be playing games against multiple people all around the world. So that was really the first real killer app for Xbox Live. But they soon realized that they could bring entertainment into the picture as well, and so they started working through Blair Westlake's organization and other biz dev folks that were there at the time to bring third parties in, like ESPN and Netflix and Crackle and others. And over the course of time, have put hundreds of entertainment apps together on the platform, and they were really the first game console
to do that,
to really do that. And so what that did, obviously, is it created this notion of, hey, well, we've got all this great real estate, we've got all this space, brands want to play here. Maybe we should, think about Xbox advertising. And so the Xbox advertising team was born, I want to say in about 2007, 2008. And I had some folks from my team at MSN who went over there to kind of seed that. And then I left to go over there myself after that and became part of the team that built some of the early branded integration vehicles. So doing really custom content and custom, what we call microsites, where brands could come in and have interactive 3D, almost game-like experiences in the Xbox environment. And we'd lay in video, and we'd lay in mini games, we'd lay in other custom elements. And it was really the first time that brands had started to really sort of play in that way on that interactive platform. And it became a super interesting, super compelling story in a short period of time. And then I started working with other third parties to license and bring in, excuse me, like, streaming concerts. We did a bunch of shows with Bud Light and Virgin Mobile and Guitar Magazine and others, where we were bringing live music and live entertainment and award shows and other kinds of programming into Xbox, and creating lower chyrons that could allow for polling and audience interaction. And that was some of the most fun I ever had as a professional, was really kind of trying to think through how audiences would respond to and really get excited by the ability to interact with and be part of the broadcast programming. And so I never really lost that bug. I'm still that's still a thing that eats away at me on a daily basis. It's like, how do I do that? And now you've got this plethora of ways to do that through social. I look at Snapchat now.
Right. Snapchat's fascinating. What's great.
That's my key learning for the week is Snapchat. I really got an immersion education in Snapchat this week, and talked to some of the folks out at Narrative there in LA that are working on really evolving this influencer MCN channel model for Snapchat. And I think that is going to be the thing.
Influencer marketing in general is a huge area, and that basically speaks to this idea of taking all these folks who are uber who have uber audiences following them, like regular people who are influencers, who are at a cluster or a node almost, and you tap them, and then they become your word of mouth out to the world. But they're doing it on Vine and Instagram and Snapchat. And so as a marketer or an entertainment company, you go to them and seed your content with them because they like it. It's all very transparent, and then they'll be your sort of buzz out to the world, which really codifies the metaphor that
I gotta keep finding that button.
That's right.
Yeah.
John's very good on the button. So
Awesome.
But it really does sort of let you know that the world that we're living in is sort of like a synapse, right? Like it's a brain cluster, and we're all at different nodes, and we're all sending information out to each other.
Why do you think Snapchat is so important, though?
I mean, Eric, you could probably speak to your opinion. I mean, I think it because of the temporariness of some of the content, I think it caught fire with the millennials, allowing them to express themselves and pass it on, sort of short form nugget content. And now they've created a publisher arm with their discovery area, so that all these different publishers with premium content can now chop it up and present it in that same format for that audience. So I think that part is fascinating.
Is it similar to Vine?
It's different.
Okay.
It's not. It does have loops, but it comes and goes, right? Eric, what's your opinion?
Well, I mean, you touched on one of the things which I think is kind of cool, and that the chats only last for 24 hours at a time and they disappear. So that's interesting. The other thing that's interesting is I kind of equated it to a flip book, where you're getting, one frame, or like one of those movies where they're time lapse. You're taking one frame every 30 seconds or every 60 seconds, and that becomes a chronology, a linear story of something or someone's day or someone's week.
People are playing around with it. Well, do you want to tell everyone what Narrative's about? Is that the button that you wear and it snaps a picture? Is that what that?
No. So Narrative's just a group of folks that I met over the course of the last few days while I was down in LA, and what they're doing is they've created an analytics package for Snapchat.
Okay. There's a thing you can wear that does take a picture every 30 seconds. I forget the name of it. I feel like
I don't know. I don't know what that is. That's interesting. I'll have to check that out.
I think
it's a plugin for Snapchat?
No, it's a little box you wear, and I feel like it's called Narrative or Narration or something like that, and it takes a picture every 30 seconds. So I thought you met with them because people were walking around with those little boxes at CES. But regardless, so you met with the folks at Narrative, and they're putting together insights around influencer marketing. Is that what?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and they're able to go in and pull, they have an engine that'll be able to go in and pull chats, into an offline archive, and they work with the influencers, to ensure that they have access through their logins to get that, and then they take that data and they parse it and they look for trends and are able to then turn that into insights that advertisers and sponsors would be interested in knowing. The amount of time people are spending, reading certain threads or certain topics, and being able to sort of be more programmatic about content and content channels. And
it's so cool.
I think they're onto something. I mean, they really captured my imagination, and now I've just been reading and ingesting everything I can about Snapchat and monkeying around on Snapchat and looking for handles and stuff. I mean, I think it's going to be probably the coolest thing going for the next 12, 18, 24 months.
I love that. I love those the discovery area with the publishers. But did you find information on our?
Oh yeah, well I looked it up for you. A Narrative Clip 2 is what it's called.
Oh yeah, Narrative Clip. So it's this little box, and it takes pictures every 30 seconds, and then you could see your whole day. And I think it writes over itself too every day or something. So you don't have to. You're not going to have like all these pictures of your life stored forever or something like that. But that's very interesting. But also on the influencer marketing piece, we heard from a company called Social Native. Do you remember that presentation?
Yeah, absolutely.
And Social Native is really interesting because they've gone to creative agencies who typically aren't managing platforms. They're only coming up with the ideas, and they've said to them, come up with a great piece of content and we'll help get it out to those influencers. So they're giving tools to creative agencies to leverage influencer marketing on a dashboard, on a piece of technology, which will allow them to upload their brief and send it out to influencers, and then they'll create images and then they'll get it out. And so now you're actually asking the audience to participate in creating the advertorials, right? So these are really, isn't it? There's so many interesting new models because of all this madness. So let's go on to our almost last segment, which is the top trend segment. That's a little high energy pitch there.
Yeah.
And this is just, what do you think is one of the top trends happening right now? And we've obviously hit on many of them, but Snapchat is definitely one of them. Influencer marketing. Is there anything else out there that is really turning you on and preoccupying you to the point of sleeplessness?
Yeah, actually,
this is being dramatic, but
there is, and it's something we talked about this week earlier too, and that's VR.
Virtual reality. That's right.
It's the thing we had that hasn't come up yet, but I know everyone talks about it, and I hear it, and it's one of those things I've almost gotten tired of hearing about VR, but that's because I haven't really experienced it the way I want to experience it yet. But that all changed for me yesterday. I was on the Fox lot down in LA in Century City, and I was able to have the good fortune to be part of a tour that
Ted Schilowitz
and the VR lab down there, and Ted made it a point of getting us in there to see some of the stuff that they're working on with content and virtual really reality, cool. And it was mind-bending. So good, and it's exactly the kind of stuff I've been praying. It's kind of the promise of technology fulfilled, right? Because
especially the storytellers.
Yeah, with people that can tell stories and celebrities that can be part of those stories and experiences that you actually really, really, really want to be a part of, that were just, jaw-droppingly good. And I just didn't want to leave. I could have stayed there. I mean, literally, it's the first time I've ever had an experience where I'm looking at stuff and I know it's virtual reality. I know it's all computerized. It's all computer-generated imagery, and it's not real. But it felt so real, and it felt so immersive, and it felt great. And I just, I can't say enough about the work they're doing and the vision that they're showing, frankly. One of my partners is, the way I got into this thing was, one of my partners is creating content for one of Ted's ventures right now. It's called Barco Escape, and Barco Escape is a 4K, it's virtual reality, 4K, 270 degree cinema technology. So
it wraps around you, correct?
Basically think about 3 screens coming all the way in through your peripheral vision, so it feels like surround, shot with 4K resolution, and everything's synced, and just this absolutely immersive visual experience. And so we're shooting things from extreme skiing to we'll be out at the U.S. Open at Chambers Bay here in another month, and Fox Digital, Fox Sports are actually going to be using some of this technology on a almost like a test basis to kind of test for live events and some things that
for the
can
future,
be done.
right?
So it's a wearable, or is it?
No, it's actual screens.
Okay.
It's screens. It's a lot. It'll be live theater event. I just actually literally came from a meeting about the very same thing, and the stuff that's happening in virtual reality right now. Some of it is tethered to the headsets that need that high processing power.
Mm-hmm.
Some of it is just on your phone, where you put your phone into a cardboard, a Google Cardboard,
Mm-hmm.
and can look at it there. But all this immersion is really the big trend right now, like taking a person and putting them physically into a different environment,
Right.
whether it's through augmented reality or virtual reality, or taking them physically to a space where the screens submerge them without glasses or goggles.
Sure.
So that is, everyone is looking at that. And I think, to your point, it will bring back live. I mean, live experiences, getting everyone together in an environment and experience these things together, as well as playing virtually like in an Xbox environment, or all getting onto their Samsung headsets and engaging in a game.
Yeah, I mean, I saw a deal with a partner here out of Bellevue that was working on live concerts in virtual reality
crazy, yeah.
and 3D, and so literally had a clip of a stage where Paul McCartney is singing.
Right, that's Jaunt. Yeah, Jaunt did that.
Yeah, and you're standing on stage with him, and you're looking around at the floor, and then you look
So
over at
cool.
the bass player, and you check the whole thing. I mean, it's insane how great it is.
Yeah, I loved that too, because you could actually see how actually old Paul McCartney is. I'm just
You can't see it from 100 feet away in the crowd, though. That guy gets younger as the night
Yeah,
goes
that's
on.
true.
It's
true.
crazy.
Well, and the other thing that came up in our conversations was that a lot what's so early Hollywood about a lot of this is that you're seeing these tech companies become content companies just because they're the engineers who have invented the tech who are being forced to become content creators. So Jaunt literally started as a tech company and just opened a content company because they're making VR sewing tools and shooting tools. And because everyone's coming to them because no one knows how to do this stuff.
Would they like partner with like Live Nation
Well,
or something like
they're
that?
hiring Hollywood content
Yeah,
experts and
of
opening up their
course.
own studio
Yeah.
because in the end, a lot of these tech companies are just engineers.
Mm-hmm.
And you have all these entertainment people coming in to say, how do I do this? I want to play
Exactly.
in your space, but I don't have the
Right.
skill set. And so it's a very interesting time. Like my partner always says, it's like early Hollywood with the motion pictures camera,
Mm-hmm.
where everyone's trying
It
to
is.
figure out how to use it. So besides virtual reality, is there anything else that's, stirring your pot right now?
A return to storytelling. I don't know that it's
okay.
necessarily a technology
I like that.
centric notion, but this idea that story matters, and this idea that this notion of really operating out of your sense of your brand values and your core values to be able to really translate those things in authentic ways, and the truth that emanates from that effort when it's done right. I feel like there's that authenticity and that one true thing. I'm a big Hemingway buff, and he used to always write about, just write that one true thing. And I feel like that's really what people are so hungry for in this world where, you're using this and you're looking at literally dozens or hundreds of things a day. What's the thing that's going to stick with me? What's the thing that's going to resonate? It's going to be that one true nugget that I can really connect to. And so I feel like storytelling and content is going to be the thing that separates experiences, because technology at the end of the day is really designed to help enable and connect and do some of the heavy lifting, but it can't substitute for the story. And I know that's maybe a cliche, and people say that, at conferences and things, but I really believe in it. And I'm, in my heart of hearts, I'm a writer, and I really see the poetry of the business as being something that has to stay true. And that's kind of where I come down on that. So.
Oh, I like that. That's a great point. Well, just to wrap it up and tie it up to our last segment, which is our closing segment.
Nice. You should just have a door slamming or a mic dropping or something.
It's all technical.
We try
sounds.
we try new sounds every week. John is a very active engineer. Anything that you want us to be looking out for that you're doing, either with Mighty Media or with some of your other projects, because you have so many interesting things going on? Anything that people can look out for?
The notion this week at iMedia that I thought was interesting, because iMedia is primarily a bunch of media folks, media buyers, media agencies sitting around and talking about things. But one of the things that hit me was a tagline for this week's conference, which was the dynamic agency model. And I'm sticking with this for a second because it's something I've been exploring in my playtime, my fun time that is work. This idea of how do you create these networks of like-minded people who all bring complementary skill sets together, who can rally around projects and really fulfill the promise of an agency in a way that's different. It's not linear. That's more organic. And so I've been experimenting with that kind of informally, just through my business relationships and really, through conversations and plugging people that I know and trust and who are super talented into projects. But I really feel like that model, particularly given the bunch of forcing functions, given how quickly things are moving in the video storytelling space and in the branded experience and innovations space, with the kind of pressure that puts on creatives, the kind of pressure that puts on media folks, and the way that those conversations and that timing has to be collapsed, is going to force innovation of sorts where brand and creative and execution and distribution and measurement and then the repurposing of that information to be able to do it over and over again, like the cycles are going to be compressed extremely tight, I think, in coming years. Like in the next years, that might be the most radical thing that changes in terms of how content is really conjured and developed. And I think you're going to see technology play a role in that. I think that it's just a matter of time before you can get more customizable kinds of programmatic content targeted at very specific audiences and experiences. And then the way that content, in 1080p, 90 frame per second kind of resolution starts to live across devices, starts to live across experiences, and really just will astound people in terms of its the quality and the craftsmanship of what that content's going to look like. And all of those things are happening right now.
Wow.
And I feel like the dynamic agency model, I think that whoever thought of that, they should definitely trademark it, because dynamic agency is what this is all about.
Let's do that right now. Let's call dibs on it. Well, I got to tell you, that was a pretty sexy statement there you made. What a great way to sum up everything that's happening in a really exciting way. But I know when we were talking about it, I got really excited, because that is sort of a modern way to move through working in our media, technology, entertainment spaces, to pull together, different people with different skill sets per project, and to be really nimble, while you're doing it.
Which is a focus on stories, which is all about story tech.
Yeah. Hey, it comes back to my company.
Back to your company.
That's fantastic.
Exactly. It's all codified.
Whoa!
There we go.
Brings it home. Brings it home. Well, you can find Eric at where can we find you online, Eric? At LinkedIn, and where else? What's your?
You can find me on LinkedIn, Eric Thompson. You can also find me at Eric, ERIC, at teamb2a.com, TEAMB2A.com. Happy to talk more to anybody that wants to chat. We're always looking for great people.
I call Eric at all times of the day and night just to chat.
On Snapchat?
On everywhere. And what about Twitter?
I am on Snapchat. I'm Eric Tay1, ERICTAY1.
All right, nice.
Are you on Periscope or Meerkat or any of those?
I am not actually on Periscope. I should be. That's a good idea.
We'll Periscope. We'll watch you Periscope.
Everybody's getting into that on
Yeah.
Twitter. They're just going nuts with that interactivity.
Well, I think it's a great publisher outlet.
Yeah,
but other
really
than
is.
that, I don't need to see you walking into the grocery store. I just I love you, but I don't need to see that. Send me a picture, fine. Instagram it, put nice filters on it, but I don't need to see a live stream of you doing your shopping, because what it does is remind me of the food shopping I have not done. Because I think we have one frozen chicken nugget left in my house. And so
Swiss chard, Lori. That's where we're going.
That's right. We're getting Swiss chard. Well, Eric Thompson, I can't thank you enough for really codifying everything. Woo!
Got a double there.
Yeah, double.
Double.
So we'll be hopefully bring Eric back to talk more about all the great things he's doing. Woo!
There you go.
Hey, get off the stage, lady. You can write him, all right? He's not live, okay?
Get off the stage.
Get off the stage. Back off. When I tell you, we have aggressive broads in the audience for our show whenever there's someone smart talking. Well, Eric Thompson, thank you so much for joining us here on the Tech Trend show, Tech Something, here on this rainy Friday in Los Angeles, coming to you live from Seattle. Eric Thompson, ladies and gentlemen, let's have a big Tech Trends hand. And see you in a couple of weeks, everybody.
Now that you've found UBN Radio and discovered our quality talk shows, it's time to spread the word to friends, family, and the universe. 24 hours of music and talk radio without limits. That's why people keep coming back for more. That's UBN Radio.